Four houses on this side and one on that side.
I think,
Those kinds of people.
What's in there?
so I can't get rid of it.
Can you get
I
here?
apologize to everybody. That's the wrong time.
Everybody, good afternoon. I think though all those that were expected here are now here. We had to hold a little bit for a representative of the engineer, Stevens and Co, to turn up. So I'm going to call this is an information gathering site visit for the DRB relating to the Morningside Cemetery subdivision that is being applied for by the town of Brattleboro and Byron Stuckey. So I'm going to call the site visit to order. I would like to just point out that this is purely an information gathering visit. It's not a formal meeting as in the sense of a DRB meeting that would be held in the town offices. We don't, even though we're here to gather information, we don't actually enter anything into the record. So we're here to learn, we're here to observe, we're here to look at the site, we're here to see what the site issues may or may not be. Feel free to ask questions of the applicant or of Adam Hubbard, who is representing the engineering company, and hopefully we'll learn what we need to learn. We'll try and proceed around at a reasonable pace so that we don't spend too long out here in the pool or the cold. And once again, thank you all for coming. So let us proceed in this direction. And if Adam, you could point out where things start, stop, and certain lines are, then that'll help us.
Sure.
Thank you.
So, just to orient you, you probably all know the site fairly well, but the proposal is to keep the road as town property, and then create 5 lots with 4 lots on this side.
Can you speak a little louder?
The idea is to create 5 lots between here and sort of the end of our line of sight down there. Did you want to say something?
Cool.
And 1 lot would be fronting on South Main, and there would be 4 small lots here, with the idea that we could create cottage housing on sort of 7,000 square foot lots, 7,000 to 10,000 square foot lots. The idea of these homes to be probably 800 to 1,000 square feet each. And the goal of this was to minimize the cost, thereby enabling us to provide housing at an affordable rate. And one of the ways we did that was to share utilities and access. So what we'll do is we'll walk down and enter into this lot. I think afterwards we can come back up and walk up on the South Main side to look at where a house would go on this lot. But I think most people are interested in seeing how these 4 lots would lay out here. Obviously there's a property line along this fence, more or less. And let's just walk down.
Just one small formality technicality. There is a sign-in sheet, and I don't know where the board is. A board somewhere. If everybody who's here could sign in, thank you.
Will there be a specific time to ask questions?
You can ask questions freely as we move.
Okay. Good. I had one, which is you say the design is relatively affordable. What ballpark would be the asking price for this?
Well, I think the goal is to get it below $200,000, which doesn't sound very affordable, but if you try to price out building a new house these days,
I understand, but it still doesn't sound very affordable.
Right, and if we did it any other way than what we proposed, what we did was we went through a series of sort of ideas and tried to get what would be the most effective way to do it. And we kept running into $250,000 to $300,000, needed 4 individual driveways or a longer driveway that came in at this way. Every linear foot of utility and access and so the design that we have is sort of most effective. And the 200,000, you know, we can debate how affordable that is, but that's as low as we could get it.
I understand that that's as low as you could get it, but it's still not really in the realm of
Could you introduce yourself?
I'm Adam Hubbard, and I work for Stevens and Associates,
Thanks.
and I work with Byron and Lee Stuckey.
With who? Point of-
Byron and Lee Stuckey.
The applicants.
point of-
The applicant.
Thank you.
One moment.
Have you considered the waste, sewage, and town water?
Yes.
In particular, could you tell us where the sewer lines would be?
Yes. They,
Let's walk and you can show us.
I can show us
on the
along
way.
the way. We have a question.
The application said 1,200 square feet for the size of the cottages, which is larger than the condos. And now you're saying 800 to 1,000. Where are we with this?
Well, I think it's important to remember that this is a subdivision and the plans that we presented to the board were for reference. And we put in 1,200 square foot cottages to sort of show a maximum build out. And that would be a footprint with porches and whatnot. I think it goes back to a cost issue. And sort of cost and value issue. They could be 1,200 square feet, for sure. I think Byron and Lee's goal was to have something a little smaller than 1,200 square feet. We showed it on our plans as essentially a box in which you would build, and we showed 1,200 square feet. But that's not what we're applying for.
Well, I do have a question about pricing. If it's in the $200,000 range, but it's being billed as affordable housing, is there some subsidy or something in between that's going to make it affordable?
I think this is different than affordable housing that the Housing Trust provides, where they bring subsidy to the table. And I think that the reason we haven't seen any housing being built in our area is because it's almost physically impossible to build it affordably without subsidy. That's the $200,000 range. If we could bring some subsidy to the table, we could get it to 150, 175. But and I don't mean to speak for Byron, but that's not. We were hoping to do it at a market rate.
I think affordable is a fuzzy term. I think of it as, and by the way, this is my wife Lee. This is a project by both of us. We think of it as moderate income housing, and there are a lot of places on the market right now for under 200,000, which is one reason this project is temporarily on hold. What you can't find is new housing. Nobody is building single-family homes at anything like $200,000 or less because the general feeling is it can't be done. And the whole reason we got into this was to try to demonstrate that it is possible. If you build compactly, if you cluster homes together, if you do it on town water and sewer, that's our hope.
Are these stick home built, or are they going to be prefabs?
We don't know. We've looked at different kinds of prefab and at stick built, and our impression so far is that prefab is not going to be as much cheaper as we thought, but no decision's been made on that.
What will you do
Okay,
about the flooding that happens there in the wintertime? You take all these trees, that water's got to go somewhere.
The
I have a question.
the question was
Well,
if
I'd actually like, we're dealing with issues about construction and detail on that level. Today, we're talking about a subdivision here. So the actual final cottages or the final buildings or the final structures that go here are not being discussed in this meeting. What we're here today is to look at the site and the suitability of the site for subdivision into 5 lots.
But this question,
That the flooding was involved in.
Then I think the best thing to do is to walk the site and have the... Sure, you may.
first of all, important to,
Tim Cuthbertson, I'm the Vice Chair of the DRB and responsible for this hearing here today. Thank you.
on the trees,
1 second.
on the cutting down trees question, the first thing we want to say on that is, if we proceed with this, we are going to inventory every single tree on this property, and
But I'm not talking about just the trees. I'm talking, you probably haven't been here in the winter. I've been here. There's flooding. Where will that water go?
Floods the cemetery down.
Yeah, we know.
Whole back side of the cemetery
I
floods.
can talk about that, and I'll show you what our idea is for that when we get down here.
What your idea is in having it actually happen will be two different things. And I'm definitely against it because for 40 years that has been a kid's playground. And now because of somebody wanting a profit, he can say all he wants about houses for low income, middle income. It's for a profit. And it's sad.
I think it's important to notice that we came into this process after the town had made a decision to sell 2 acres for development, for revenue for the town, or whatever. And it was at that point that we came in. It was not our idea to take this land and develop it. As far as we know, the intent was that it was going to be developed by somebody for something, and we felt this was a reasonable way
We have a question. Hold on, we have a question.
we're not in it.
What I keep hearing about is that it feels like we're putting a cart before the horse. Like you said, actually, isn't the real question whether or not this sale of this land can even go through or not? Like, there's a lot of question about if the cemetery piece can be legally separated from the cemetery plot altogether. There's statutes that say it actually cannot be, and only under very particular situations, which is not what happened. The town sold it as if it was a regular piece of property, which it's not, and so it didn't follow the regulations or even look into the regulations to start with. So my question is the DRB, is it at the stage where it's saying, oh, this was not followed to begin with, it wasn't correct, and say we can't even go through with this at this point because this land isn't even really up for sale and couldn't be, or do we have to go to the town and say, this is actually an action that wasn't allowed to be taken because you didn't look into it, but it's not even legal to be doing this because the statute says you can't sell cemetery land. So it feels like here we're talking about the subdivision as if it's already happening, but the sale of the land has not taken place yet, and that's really the issue, is can it or should it, and is it even legal to proceed?
That's not an issue for this meeting or this discussion. That's an issue among the town attorney.
What I guess my question is, what is the role of the DRB? Because do you say, oh, this can't be zoned for housing because this isn't even legal to sell it? Is that your position? To say, no, let's stop it right now? Who decides that?
Today we are here. There's an application before the DRB for subdivision of this land. The town of Brattleboro, the select board, and the town reps voted to dispose of a portion of this cemetery, legally or otherwise. And that may be open to interpretation. I'm not prepared to make up.
There's actually some pretty clear information about that. It's not even.
That is not what we're here today to discuss, and it's not what we're here to consider. Let us assume, for the purpose of today's meeting, that topic is off the table and that it is legal to sell. If it was legal to sell it, and that will at some point no doubt be questioned if it's illegal to sell it, or if it's not being sold properly or correctly, having got past that hurdle, if we have to get past that, then we're now looking at how it could be subdivided, okay, and how it could be used, and that's the sole purpose of today's meeting. And that's what we intend to do today, is to go look at the site, look at the topography of the site, look at where the lot lines are, look at where the boundaries are, look at where the trees are, look at where the drainage is going to go, look at the how the infrastructure will work should it be developed and the subdivision go ahead.
But her question was, is the DRB a party to the debate about the legality of the sale?
I think that those issues are right issues. The DRB has the select board and the town attorney.
So what's the answer to
ones
that
who
question?
have the power to... Peter?
It's my understanding that DRB is responsible for reviewing development as it conforms to the zoning code. This statute does not pertain to the zoning code.
So the answer is no, that the DRB is not a party to the debate about the legality.
I don't know about the party status, but
a participant.
No, they're not.
It is not the jurisdiction of the DRB, is my understanding. The DRB is supposed to apply the rules of the zoning code.
Okay, so the DRB has no opinion as to the legality of the developmental status.
Does use of land come into the DRB's like appropriate use?
Absolutely.
And wouldn't that also include the fact that it's in a cemetery?
Yeah,
It's in the zoning.
So does not also therefore land in the DRB?
The use of the property does fall under the
Right, but since it's in a cemetery, it does not fall within the DRB's purview, determining whether or not this is a
But that's different than the statute that she's
right, I'm saying, but still, it would seem that as he was, in terms of being a participant in the debate, it still seems that the DRB would be a participant in the debate. So
Here's a question. Is my understanding
Let him answer this guy's question.
well, it might help answer it actually. What I was going to ask might help answer it actually, sir. My understanding was that the DRB first needed to come to do a site visit to determine whether the land could be subdivided off of the cemetery before deciding if the land that they then have already decided is now permittable to be, which could answer this gentleman's question right here. The DRB would be needed to decide whether this could be subdivided off of the cemetery prior to deciding if this land could be regular defined lots.
That is correct.
The
two are related.
steps, right?
The two are related.
So the first step would be related to what he's saying right here, saying the DRB would have to determine if it's suitable to be broken off based on the statutes regarding zoning or use or whatever.
Regarding subdivision statute.
Okay. Well, I'm not involved in that field, but yes. Well, there you go. That was my question. I hope I didn't interrupt what you were trying to hear.
that was.
Yeah, I'd like to suggest that we start out down the road and observe, look at the site. Thank you.
Let's see if these two work. It's okay.
included, that driveway would include a 25-foot shared right-of-way. Included in the access would be utilities that would come off that utility pole. There's a sewer manhole up on the street there. So the sewer and the water would come down and access the site through that same right-of-way and under the shared driveway. Let's go in on that path up there. You'd have to pump it up. You'd have to pump it up. You'd have to have a pump out. You could either do it individually or you could have a pump station in there. You would not need a pump house. You can pump it from a pump station or manhole.
There's also water goes off this land that they're going trees out. Does that go back up and go off the circuit?
No. The drainage will be caught on the uphill side of the parking lot, the driveway, and there'll be in that low area there would be a detention basin.
So you're telling me you're going to have some kind of a pumping to pump the sewer up here to this manhole, which is going to go down to the next manhole, which is going to go across my property down over the bank.
That's right.
And I'm the one that gets the shit in the cellar 2-3 times. Since I've lived
Your
there.
your sewer, the sewer leaks.
The sewer, when
Backs
it
up.
backs up, goes into my.
It's over capacity now.
Yes.
That's the problem.
So you tell.
The development would be based on the premise that there's allocation and capacity in the line at the street and at the treatment plant at the town.
So that I have to go to the town and say they better upgrade their system because I don't want it in my site.
If there is not capacity in the system, there's no new development on this
No.
street.
So that's my next move. Adam, would the pump station be under the
The pump station would be a manhole, probably 6-foot diameter manhole buried in the driveway.
Okay. And also, are there basements proposed?
Unknown at this time.
Okay, let's jump the fence and cut into it. I'll go under the fence.
Baby's fine. The power mother is another.
There you go.
Talking at a whole different one potential going on the other, not over the bank this way, down.
Okay, yeah.
My concern is with heavy equipment out here. My barn, which sits right when it starts dropping off, is it my foundation going to be undermined?
We
Is
will
there going to
ask.
be ground?
We will ask.
So
Gather around or gather off.
So there's a marker or a pin roughly at the corner of those fences there, and the property boundary runs more or less along the top of this plateau. You don't own this down here, and the setback would be 10 feet further towards you. So about where you are standing would be the furthest easterly point of a cottage to be built, to be possibly built. We showed a cottage in that position. Whoever would own the lot would be free to build within an envelope that conforms to the setbacks of the district. So it would be somewhere, there's a, this is the smallest lot up in the corner here, and it's about 6,100 square feet. So, you know, roughly 20 by 30, 600, 200, that's 6,000 square feet. Let me look at my plan here.
200 by 300.
So,
200 by...
So this boundary line here looks to be about 70 or 80 feet. We'll say it's 80 feet along this boundary, and then 6,000 divided by 80.
75.
75, thank you, Joe. And then another 75 feet that way would create this upper lot.
Where is the road coming? Where is the... just roughly for the...
So the parking would take place in this area here, right in the low spot. So this little berm here would be cut out so we could ease the grade. So the grade would be about 8 or 10% down to the access road. And you would come in and you would park roughly in this area for this lot, shared parking with the house in that lot. I actually believe it's over a little bit. Because this house over here is about 25 feet off of Morningside Drive. So it'd be 25 feet and then a 20-foot to 30-foot wide house, and then more setbacks, parking, and then another house. The cottage that we show on the far lot, the southwesterly lot here, would be about where that would end about where that birch tree is. Maybe a little further down than that birch tree. that house presents the most challenge. That would likely have a walkout basement in which the foundation would be the retaining wall against that steep bank. The stormwater question. The stormwater question would be, where does the drainage go from here? And it would be caught on the uphill side of the. Let me say, if we don't use pervious pavements, our goal is to use pervious paving, so that all water that fell on the driveway would infiltrate directly into the soil at the natural state. An alternative would be to catch the stormwater on the uphill side of the driveway and on this side of the housing, and create a detention basin on the downslope side in that little low spot downslope of the driveway. Similarly, in this draw that heads back down to Morningside Drive, we could create another detention basin that would catch this half of the stormwater. I think it's important to say that the stormwater, the goal is to not increase the amount of stormwater into the town. The code we have to uphold is that we do not increase the amount of stormwater that, we cannot exceed the capacity of the downslope stormwater. Our goal is to keep the stormwater in the most native condition possible. And we realize we're adding housing and driveways and roofs and elements that create runoff. But we also are addressing that with the ability to retain the water and let it infiltrate over time. The detention basins, detention basins are designed to allow water to infiltrate. As we said, we do some exploratory test pits to find out what the native material is. But if you look, there's a hole dug in the side of the slope down there with the kids have sort of burrowed into the side of the slope. Hopefully the town has knocked that in, but you can see the native soil in that area is very sandy and it's very good for infiltration, but very difficult for erodibility. Conversely, the clay soils that we've talked about have the opposite effect. They're more stable, less prone to erodibility, but poorer for infiltration. Either way, the intent is to infiltrate the stormwater runoff from the site. Do you have a question?
How far is the house? What's the furthest that the house on the back side of the
I'll go stand in the back corner and sort of estimate that. But here we have a house. Again, this house could be built sort of anywhere within the setback, and the setback is 10 feet from this line. So it could be built more centrally, but we proposed it on that bank to maximize sort of the usable open space. So I will go, actually, where he's standing is where I estimate the back corner of that house. Then it's a steep bank. And the idea was to use the foundation wall as a retaining wall to prevent that slope from eroding.
So basically, there's one right and two. Where are the other two?
There's two. There's one. I would estimate the dividing line between these two lots. In this area. That looks about right. This house would have about 25 feet, would be built about 25 feet off of Morningside Drive, and that would allow it to have some usable space on this side, so a little backyard, so to speak. Let me answer this question first. I would expect the driveway, the upper edge of the driveway, to come in right about here.
Are you cutting all this down?
This this berm right here would be cut down, and probably a little of this would be filled in.
The driveway from the road would be...
The driveway would come from about, it starts at where the light post is. I don't know if you can see the light post, but behind that locust, there's a light post. I would expect the edge of the driveway to be sort of along this line.
Are we going to have four-way stops out there? Because right where that driveway is going to come in is right around that curve that the cars go 50 miles an hour and almost demolishes.
The driveway would come down to Morningside Drive and then the access.
Okay, you're saying from that light post.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's a little light post right here. That little light post right
So
there.
you're going to be using this original
Yes,
part
Morningside
of the
Drive.
Morningside Drive, and you're coming up from that light post
Yep.
up,
Down
and
to an
you're
area.
cutting it down to
An
here.
area in
This
here.
road is going to stay the same. I mean, you can just barely pass two cars as it is now. I mean,
On this road here?
yeah.
On Morningside Drive. That will stay the same.
It's
Yeah.
pretty tight.
Yeah. But it is the width of the Morningside Drive and the width of the road coming in here is compatible with standards for this level of development. You know, they call it a yield flow situation. Two cars don't pass at 20 miles an hour, but two cars that slow down can pass easily.
Not if you have two Just thinking, if the one thing that bothers me is that the buffer of trees going down this path will be gone. And I keep thinking maybe if the driveway at least was up there and came around, that we could keep this buffer.
We actually looked at bringing the road in along the boundary.
Yeah. That seems like it would make it such a, at the flat level so that...
Unless you live there.
Unless you live there. Unless you live there. And also sharing, having a driveway and parking centrally located. If you came in on one side, the 4 units would be down here. And it would be a longer road.
I don't hear an awful lot about, I mean, it's been brought up several times, but I really haven't heard an awful lot about the fact that this road has been closed for decades in the wintertime, basically because it is so treacherous. And I don't think that the grade is going to change that much, and so therefore it will continue to be treacherous.
The grade of the portion that we'll be using is about 11%, which is a pretty typical driveway, and the maintenance, so it will not change.
But it's going to be very expensive for the town to maintain it.
The owners of these houses will be responsible for the maintenance and plowing of that road.
Oh, wow.
Not down to the cemetery, but to access the
There would be like a four-way section there. So there better be a four-way stop.
Because they're going to slide right off the road.
They certainly are, and I would love to be the first person trying to get up here in the snowstorm. You can't get out Pine Street and onto Canal Street. How are you going to get onto? No. Good luck to people.
You know, I will say that one of the things that appealed to us, and I'll try to speak for the Stukeys as well, is that to be able to develop in-town lots is really a cherished opportunity because you can provide housing in which you can walk and which is accessible to emergency services and which is...
Oh yeah, you're having a heart attack and you're going to walk to the emergency.
No, but
how's rescue going to get
But the kids can walk to school, and you could walk to the store, and you know, there is a difference between building 4 units compactly on a small site in town versus 4 5-acre lots in the hills, and that's something.
Housing makes good sense.
And that's something that appeals to us.
But the thing is that in our town, with all due respect, and by the way, I'm a big Habitat for Humanity volunteer all over the world, and in this town too, and there's a Habitat house over here. So affordable housing is, you know, dear to our hearts, but so many of us have these lovely big old places, and we have apartments in them.
I have had to come down in my rentals. It's very difficult now to get people to rent, and I've had to come down hundreds of dollars on each unit of mine because there's so much affordable housing in Brattleboro already.
Could you can we go to the southern border?
Yeah. Any questions for the access or the location of the houses?
Is in the plan, is there a tree left standing, even one?
Yeah, you know, the goal is to keep as many of the trees as possible.
How many would there be?
And, you know,
of the beautiful hundreds here, how many would be left?
And construction will be limited.
Construction we'll do it. We generally, the tightest you can keep trees to a house is about 15 feet. You know, like this house in the corner is perhaps one of the most precarious and the most important to consider the trees. Because if you have to dig a foundation for this, that'll push you back out. And we really want to keep the trees on the bank, obviously. And we really want to keep the trees in between the property.
These are going to be slabs or cellar holes?
That's undetermined at this time.
If you put cellar holes in, you're not going to have any trees, so you'll pull all the roots right out.
That's right. That's where we get about 15 feet from the edge. Is the tightest you could keep a tree. And it's even, you're not even pushing.
I think I'm from the conservation commission. What about this large tree?
We don't have that located on our plan, but that's a cherished tree. I mean, that is a phenomenal oak. If there's a chance to keep that or adjust the plans to keep that tree, that's the kind of tree that we would love to exhibit. It could come down. You know, again, we go back to the point of that we're not proposing development at this time. We are proposing a subdivision, and there's a very nice chance that somebody would buy that lot and say, I like that tree, and I'm going to locate my house appropriately.
Now, if they can't put their house appropriately, that tree will come down.
That's right.
And you know, you can say by chance, these trees, once they buy it, they will do what they want with these trees, and too bad for the rest of us.
That's right. Sorry.
Well, also too bad for the downstream. Yeah. All sandy soil, we've already looked at it. Yeah. Most of the trees are gone. So that's going to wash away. The only thing that's holding this soil here are the trees.
We understand the importance of the trees to the site, not only for the character of the site, but for the actual practical buildability of the site. You have to. We will respect the fact that to build a house that would increase the chance of eroding the hillside would be a bad idea.
Well, the thing is, once the houses are in here, it's not going to be any great thing to look at anyway. It's going to be a development. So, I mean, as far as aesthetics go, it's going to be a lot of pavement. It's going to be a lot of seeing things. You know, we don't have to and all that sort of thing. So,
you know, I keep coming back to the concept that the town made this decision to sell this lot, and we would like to be proper stewards of the lot, you know, and whoever is going to. The town sold it with the intention that it would get developed.
Yes.
So just please keep that in mind. Like,
yes,
and also keep in mind it is in fact not been sold.
Right.
That's right.
You know, do you know if the cemetery they close the gate in the winter? Up here on South Main? Would they have to relocate and close it down below this development?
That's correct. They're not going to move those posts, but they're going to create a gate down below the entrance.
I'd like to go and look at the. We need to keep moving if we can. Look at the southern border. See how far it goes down.
I grew up in
So this house would be roughly facing this direction here. We were going to capitalize on this draw to treat the stormwater that came off of this side of the site.
The buildable area of the
This is about the southern extent of the buildable area of this lot. Now,
stormwater basin, or you're going to have a retention basin?
There'll be a detention basin in this lot. Now we could, it looks actually like we could walk down to the road here, or we could walk back out. It's up to you if you want to walk down this way.
On the other side of the street, does it go down further than this southern border? Or is it the same line?
This is the property line. The property line actually is beyond the nose of that hill. So this is the sort of extent of the buildable area.
On this side?
On this side, yeah. A little further. The actual property line is just off the edge of the road. The buildable area is the top of the bank, essentially. So not very far. That black birch.
Go look at the lot 5 top side of the lot. Although I don't think from here you're going to be able to see down to the cemetery because you have that knoll in the way.
And the,
Can we
and
look
the,
at the
and the front
top lot
two,
from the
and,
street?
the front two would obscure the rear two, but still see the lot.
This the lot, is it lot 5 or this top lot? Can
We could walk along South Main and look at this lot, or if anybody's interested, we could also walk to the bottom.
Let's do the South Main.
Do South Main, and then if people want, and then we'll do the long walk to the party.
We have another site there.
Where would it be on this road? If this division, yeah.
I don't know if that's been determined. I think it could be anywhere south of the.
It would be just south of the driveway.
So the driveway entrance again starts at this light post, and it's about it's a little wider at the mouth. The bottom of the road sweeps in here. You know, the gate would be somewhere in this area. There'll still be cemetery. Plowing of this part of the road.
How are you going to get 4 people to? Okay, we owe the plow guy $100 for the storm. Where's your 25?
Yeah, it's part of the deed. Be part of the deed.
I can see trouble.
That's normal. That's a very normal subdivision.
Yeah.
Can you tell us where from here, where the entrance to the cemetery will be? I understand you wanna change to.
No. They stay. The posts stay where they are. The gate would move.
Let's go around if we could.
There's no specific design presented at this time, but the idea would be that a small duplex would work pretty well here. A small duplex set on, the zoning says average or 25 feet, so I've measured the average and it's 12 feet or so, and the front of the house would be in this area, with the front stoop out to the sidewalk, and presumably you could pull a car in on either, or 2 cars in on either side of the house.
Where's the lot line?
The lot
Property line
is down near that woman's house. You can see the driveway. That driveway is actually on this property. She accesses it through easement, and then
The driveway would be right here?
the driveway there'd be one pull-off. The way we sketched it on the plans to show that you could build conforming to the zoning would be to pull in a car or 2 on this side, and then 40 feet down or 30 feet down, pull in a car or 2 here. And you can see it would require lifting the grade here. And as you lift the grade, you could presumably use the excavated material to build up your grade around the house. But the constraint you run into in the back is that as you pick up the grade, the top of the bank comes towards us. So there is a constraint that, we are sensitive to the erosion and the runoff off the back of the slope here. So we'd want to stay 15 or 20 feet back from the top of the bank back there.
Where would some of these young trees go?
In this area where the house would go, they'd be removed.
Oh. Some of them look like young maples to me.
I think it's a slippery elm, but that's a locust. Yeah.
Locust, and there's young maples that she's talking about there, back there.
Yeah.
Stormwater
would go back to the street.
Also going to come back to the town system.
Yeah.
This is the iffiest part of the whole idea. Whether there would be a single family home here, whether there would be a duplex. It's much less worked out there. The plans are across the way.
What was your response to the finding that the soil is very sandy here?
That's consistent with both the NRCS and our basic field observation.
Okay, and so it's a very sandy hill. So what are the building and development implications of that?
So I don't know if you heard me back there, but
no, I didn't. Sorry.
The sands are highly erodible, but infiltrate very well, and so in all cases we want to prevent hillsides from eroding. Once a hillside starts eroding, you can't catch it.
Yeah.
So it's essential that we maintain a stable site, but it's good for stormwater infiltration.
Okay. So, but what about the erodible aspect?
Yeah, it's going to require care that it's not built too close to the edge, and during construction that erosion control is used, and prevention of erosion.
And how do you do that?
Silt fence, erosion control blankets, seeding mulching. You tend to stay away from winter construction. You like to stabilize your soil quickly after excavation.
And post-construction, what's the erosion situation going forward?
As Helene said, the trees and vegetation are the key to keeping a stable site.
Yeah.
So the more trees and the more vegetation on the site, the more stable the site.
So according to your plan and the amount of tree clearance is going to be required, will there be enough trees remaining to be able to keep the site stable from an erosion point of view?
Yeah.
There will. Okay.
But what if somebody who buys it decides they want to cut down the trees or age it? Do you know what I mean? There's nothing stopping them from doing that.
There's not, except for common sense.
Right.
Common sense dictate where you put a house.
Have you taken some behind the houses from here? Maybe, 7, 8 houses down this way along the bank. If you walk the bank and look behind the houses. Okay, our house is, 4 houses down this way. And between our house and the next yellow house, there was an area there that was a gully, and it was filled in by the owner in the yellow house. But still, there is erosion down through there. There have been trees through that whole area
that have fallen down because of the erosion. There's erosion behind Dick's Lock Repair, behind their house. The house next to it coming this way, behind our house, along through there, and behind her house. It's the nature of the game. It is all happening, even with the trees there.
Well, when, for years, for decades, the woman who lived, where Jackie's house right there next to the whole site, she always had all of us in this whole area, if we ever had to do any trimming of any sort, please bring the stuff over and put it behind the house because of the tremendous erosion that goes on here. It's very unstable.
It might not be a great idea because you might be smothering seedlings and saplings and whatnot, but it does prevent the gully wash syndrome.
Okay, have we got any other questions at all for Adam while he's here? Yes.
Are the homes all planned to have basements, or are they going to be built on slabs?
It's not known at this point. It would. This one would speak to a basement because you could use the excavation to bring the yard up to grade for the sidewalk.
But the other one?
The other one's
There's a pathway that continues right here, and would that remain? I mean, people do just naturally use it.
If it's a private land,
I see.
Just come from down there.
I can see
I'm a little confused about buildings that get put in here. On one hand, you're talking about building affordable housing, but on the other hand, I gather that the building is going to be put up by
And if it is against statute,
buys the
then
land.
it could come to a
Well,
lawsuit
you know,
that the town is broken.
the idea was that the Stukeys were going to develop it. That was the initial goal, was to build, to do it as a development,
Including the construction.
and including the construction. And at this point, the subdivision is a necessary piece of that plan. How that plan plays out, it's a difficult decision, or difficult to forecast at this point. So the honest answer is somebody else could own this lot. The hopeful answer is that the Stukeys get to build something that they've been trying to do for a long time, and that we'd all like to see happen, or not we all. Our people in my circle would like to see happen.
But we wouldn't like to see this.
Yeah, I don't live in here,
Yeah,
and I appreciate that. I know.
And we haven't, I've never heard that idea.
I'd say my circle is committed to building a nice community and keep maintaining the assets we have in Brattleboro. And like I
can certainly fundraise for that.
This is greenery. This is trees. You will not be able to build trees. And if you're going to dig up roots, and whatever you build, you're gone on. But then you don't think
Anyone else with any other observations?
Right now, they're just mostly living here.
250, 217. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So that's mostly what
Okay. I'd like to say you can contact us or the Stukeys as well, and even the private and we're all happy to see what questions we can answer.
You can't have
Thank you.
In which case, okay, I thought that was okay. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn the site visit.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming out.
You want to get back down?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Adam. Sorry, I looked up. Okay.
Sorry, I kept you hanging.
Well, he had some.
I'll call the November 1st, 2010 Brattleboro Development Review Board meeting to order. This site visit is a continuation of our meeting from approximately 2 weeks ago. We'll take a walk up the road to the property. It should be pretty quick. I just ask a couple of things. One, especially for members of the board, try to group together.
Get out of their way. I want to come up the road.
If we could try to group together, that'd be great. The metaphor is, I don't know if you've ever seen mite hockey. People just kind of follow the puck, so just kind of follow the puck. So because I don't want to have discussions with the applicant or interested parties that's not available for everybody. And then also we will not be, this video will be a record of the proceeding today, but we won't be taking the transcript and we won't be entering any evidence into the record today. It'll just be for our individual edification. I'm going to ask the applicant and the folks who live on the driveway to identify when we moved from the existing gravel road to the planned improvements, and then also to tell us approximately when we moved from the first lot to the second lot, the proposed property line, and then also give us visually an idea of where building number 2, as it's described, would be, and building number 1 would be, and then on our way in also describe where the leach fields would be, I guess, on our left to the east as we walk in. Anyone have any members of the board have questions? Anyone else have questions regarding the procedure?
So should we point out anything that in particular is a concern, or?
Sure, go ahead and do that. That'd be great. And I'll try to use the map and roughly identify where those areas of concern are as we walk up the road.
One of the things I'd note right off the bat is just as an example of the kind of ledge you find around here quite a bit, even right here at the base of the driveway or the base of the road, you'll see evidence of ledge.
Okay, thank you.
Can I address that?
Sure, what the hell?
Okay, actually, what you see is the ledge here pretty much ends where it disappears. Because anybody that dug a sewer line coming from Old Guilford Road in has to chip from the sewer line to here, and then it's easy digging the rest of the way in. And I think Joe Butchie has done it, and he could say
we'll take the evidence later, but we'll just do
okay. Wait. Another thing. At the DRB meeting, the 3 people that have concern that live off this road made statements that I'd like to address while we're right here. Mrs. Higley said that the road is only 13 feet wide, and I got a tape. I'd like her to show us where it's only 13 feet wide.
Measure it yourself. It's probably a little bit wider, yes, but it's not 30.
Where are we measuring from, honey?
Keep going. Measuring 22 right here.
Okay, duly noted. Anything else?
And it's 30 foot right away.
That's all right.
Further up, that's wider than the road.
We'll check it as we walk if you want.
I know.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it on hers.
So let's continue up.
All my pins.
Did you want me to take other measurements? But that's right there looks like a pin where the flag is. So it goes way in.
It's actually a culvert down there.
So this is where we get a great deal of ice buildup?
On the right side of the road.
Yes, I heard.
In this area here, a little bit.
Whose home is this?
Mine. Yeah.
I understand there may be a 30-foot right-of-way, but the actual improved roadway here, that's probably not much more than 13 feet. In fact, that's not 10.
About 10. I was just guesstimating.
I got 11
guys.
here.
It varies, you know.
But I'd say, if you look, I mean, there's gravel right out to there.
Yeah,
And there's your old culvert right there where that flag
lawn.
is.
That's my
that
lawn.
little indentation.
I just want to point out that 13 feet wasn't
well, yeah.
an inaccurate.
No, for the traveled path. Yeah.
Yeah, you do that.
Is this yours then? This is mine.
Where's it go?
Pin's right there. So this is one lot.
Where's the pin?
Behind the fence. Right at the corner of the fence.
Right on the corner. Oh, so the fence, this piece of fence then goes into the right of way, you're saying?
I would assume so, if the pin's accurate.
Okay.
I own.
So that, I don't know if you want to get a clear in this right now, because the whole line says that because it's clear cut up on top, we're flooding his house.
Water running off.
So we should see signs of erosion?
All right, let's stop. Okay, this is not what we're going to do.
Well,
Okay?
if it's saying that I made a problem.
We're not taking testimony at this hearing. We're going to take testimony at the hearing when we get back 2 weeks or so from now. On the 50th. The board is out here to gather some visual evidence regarding the property and the road and the improvement. But we're not going to have that shown. No, listen, I'm talking. We're not going to have that shown. It's not productive for our hearing. It's not appropriate. We're just out here to observe what we observe. If you could help us by pointing out a few things as we're observing them, that would be great. But if we're going to have this type of bickering back and forth, it's not worth our time to be here. Okay? So.
At the same token, I wasn't at the meeting the other day, and I know that a lot of things were entered in as, you know, complaints made by these abutting neighbors, and by not addressing them while we're standing out here kind of seems silly to me, only because they're still going to come up, and does everybody want to come out here again?
Right, it was my intention. Can I say something?
Richie, please.
All right, I'm sorry.
The point is, I don't think the testimony was that my house is flooded today, you should all come out and take a look at it. I think the point was my house is flooding because of this clear cut, okay? So, the fact that there's no flooding in the backyard on November 1st isn't very surprising, and it's not really relevant to the board's review of our site plan to go into the backyard to see that there's no flooding in the beginning of winter. I imagine the flooding would have occurred in the spring. And so, saying to the board, there's no flooding today, so there must not be flooding at all, isn't very helpful to us.
No, that's not what I was saying. I was saying there should be signs of erosion. That's what I'm saying.
If he doesn't want to admit it, let's just like
Fine, never mind. If you don't want to go look for signs, then we won't look for signs.
We're doing a site plan visit. We're doing a visit of your right-of-way and your property.
Okay.
If we're invited on to the property by others, I'd be happy to go, but they don't have applications before the board. You do. And so we're going to go look at your property.
Oh.
Okay.
Guys, by the way, you said that.
I said 15.
Yeah,
December
but
20th?
you
No,
did.
December.
You skipped November.
December.
Right to December.
December 20th. December 20th is the hearing for the Delta Industries property, and I may have made a mistake, but I meant to say
November. I was gonna.
December.
What happened in November? You skipped it.
Go ahead. No, I don't think you can go. You go ahead.
Yeah.
So this would be the approved road going out.
Yeah, there's that road that's coming in. Here's the road coming in where that truck is parked right there. Yeah.
Mr. Carasone?
Yes, sir.
The septic?
No, we're not applying.
It's kind of steep. Yeah. I think I'll hang down. No, I'm fine this way. I just looking at the sign.
Okay.
So this would be
The last one. We can't make it up.
Right.
Ed?
Yes. That would be Leachfield. Yeah. Yeah, actually,
The thing I got to know is that so many people are complaining about
one would be right there. Yep, right there. And then one right here.
And then they would attack.
Because that's the Fort Dummer campground.
Yeah, let's go back up there to the back of the house.
Yeah.
So subdivide themselves as if
Your
they're
exercise
two
day.
family
Separate the two lots, yes.
So I mean, that's what it tells us. I don't think he has any obligation to follow through.
Actually, there's a green map with the numbers, square footage and stuff.
And that was the
Right there,
that's the
you can
other.
see the stake. That's my corner. Right, so it's down the toe of the slope, comes right this side of that pile of junk, because that's not on my property.
And that was this is the access back out to
water.
Old Guilford.
So as far as building
So yeah, but I mean, if you look at our plan, making as little impervious ground as possible. Trying to keep it as green as possible. Your house will be right behind you.
So
we're standing right here.
Standing on the tree?
Yes.
And that's the state park right there?
Yes.
And you said how much of that is hemlock? I'm not a very
That stand of hemlock over there, it looked just like it here. I cleared this.
So if you took out the
I'm
hemlock
going to take
from
out the
there,
hemlock
it would
and
look-
leave the hardwoods.
It would look about like
Just like this, yes. Unless it's something different that we can't see from here. But I see indigenous leaves in there, indigenous trees in that hemlock. You take out the hemlock, the trees, these trees were all bent and
Somebody drove up this.
scrawny looking, and 2 years later they're starting to become nice trees.
So as part of the
Oh,
plan
my
to
leg
take
is
out
all
trees,
over.
is that what the house is going to be?
Well, I can't build a house around a tree, so yeah, I'd have to take out the tree where the house is.
The house is going to be down the tree.
No, leach fields are down in the Are you talking about the hemlocks?
The ones down there, yeah.
The hemlocks are gone because the leach fields go in. Hemlock would be the black forest over there. That's what I call it. You can't even
But I
see
mean,
it.
you haven't done enough clearing yet for the leach field.
No, we have not. No.
Have you done enough for the?
I did it up here just to get some sun in here. I had nothing to do one winter.
The four houses,
Yeah.
or the four buildings, the square
Yeah.
blocks, are all within this clearing that we see. One
Yes,
behind me,
pretty much.
One over there.
One on the edge.
there, and
Yes,
one there.
yes.
What else? What other clearing you have to do for the houses themselves?
Whatever could fall on a house, I usually take out.
And some of these trees.
I don't see any of those trees coming out.
I thought you said the house would be back.
No, I think we're in the backyard of the house, actually. Right here. I mean, how far away from the property line is this house? What's 40 feet?
60 feet.
So,
Yeah, about 60 feet, 50
yeah.
feet.
So we might be in a little bit here. Then.
Yeah, I say we're close to that. That's the way. That's property.
I don't want to get close to that. Come this way. I mean, I would think if I was in here, I'd put a private between me and the camper.
The original just had a, like donkey. Oh yeah, you did. So that was on the original. It probably will be on the same plan. Depends on what the people who live up here do. Thirsty much?
This is how we are right here. I got this, Phil.
Yeah, we're standing around here, so that means the line comes
They're probably just on the other side of these little boulders right here.
Shoots across and around.
This isn't new since the one you.
Yeah, I think it is. Actually.
No, that's the top showing.
Yeah, I didn't want to go to the adjust of the property.
We were in my driveway and I was a kid. We were in my driveway and I was a kid. It's $5 to take it out. It's 3 hours later.
So this was a little less.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not exactly the same size.
This was back when $5 went 10 candy. Okay, great.
So this center in here gets paving, does it? The road swings up this way and that way?
The road comes up and it's forced to go to these two houses and these two houses. So that, like I said before, it's the least amount of impervious ground.
Okay.
Right?
This is proposed to be asphalt?
No. And also this would come here and this would come here. So there'd be grass and it would join together here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then be one road. And no, it's going to be short back.
Where would this fork be roughly on the ground?
That's a little further down here, I'd say.
80 feet in the line. So it's
probably in around that little red
oak tree there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, okay. Right in here behind me. About 80 feet. Dirt mile. I'm going to be close to the two places.
So that would be like the parking area probably down where that yellow thing is and then in through there?
Yeah.
For those two, and then the parking area up here would be somewhere around.
Yes.
Where this road is, or maybe...
No, it'd probably turn off before this road and it hook in and probably be about where that stump pile is.
Right, rock.
Yeah.
So is that on the street there?
Yeah.
That's the property line there? That's the storm. This road
I always thought that came all the way.
You know what that flag
Stay parking that area.
The whole property.
Yeah. At least I just got a tractor for my dad's I hope I'm joking.
You hope what?
I hope I'm joking. These days you never know.
Where are you?
Maybe too green?
Oh no, you're in trouble.
So this is state park land?
Yes.
Brian might know. Oh yeah, Brian. Hey Brian.
State park land is up there.
But does it run over that side too?
All the way down.
I don't know. Where's Chris? Who's behind your house, Chris?
Martell, I believe.
Who's that house that does
Martell. Bob is.
Bob Martell on the
Lindsay's parents?
west side.
The last
Maybe.
one. I can't think of whose house that is. Is it Martell?
No,
Richie.
Ha.
Who's the last house? All the way at the end of the road, right before you hit the park.
Oh.
Dora.
I know Marcia has a chunk of land here too.
Out in the back. Doris Frey.
Marcia Mears.
Okay.
Step back off the road.
Doesn't matter.
There is a house as you go to the park.
Any other members of the board have questions before we kind of head back down the slope? Nope. Shell Hill.
So as you walk down, I'd ask that you take note of, again, it's just on the smooth road.
Appreciate it coming out.
I'm not ready for that yet. He said it was freezing rain yesterday, but I missed it. It just seemed like rain to me.
Reading it differently a bit.
It was right, she was a little bit too. Yeah.
It's funny because my daughter,
She was like grounded with the kids and like was driving. Randy was trick or treat or whatever. Yeah. I should
Yeah, so Chris Burrows has a lot of water coming here. And he's actually right here at the van.
Clearly, we're not talking.
Oh yeah.
11th grade. Water coming downtown.
If I put a nice house up top of this hill and didn't fix this road up, would anybody buy a house?
I'm not going to answer questions. I asked him.
Of course I'm going to fix the road.
But yeah, that's a pretty steep grade.
Well, he said it's 11%.
Unless anyone else has any additional questions, comments, close the public hearing and we'll reconvene.
Yeah. One last question. Where is power coming in off this road as well?
No.
Electricity?
No.
So this is from a services standpoint. You're drilling wells. You've got septics in here.
Yes.
For the surge, and power comes in on the other side.
You see the red roof over there?
Yep.
To the left of the red roof is the last telephone pole, and I have permission from those people to come off that pole and go underground up to
the side, to the sides.
What I'm going to probably do is come underground to the pump house, and then from the pump house I'll put on a gang meter.
What's his name?
House, and then see if he comes up and use the meter, so I can right on that house.
Yeah, I was telling Tim we should probably call
And then go from there underground to each house.
Gotta watch us.
Cable, phone, and power. Underground.
Original.
And the pump house?
Yes. The pump is going to, there'll be a well with a, I think we have a 1,500
Phil's
gallon
right behind you,
storage
honey.
tank. 1,500, right? Storage tank down in below grade so you don't have to heat it. I've done something up West Town. Works nice.
That's all.
Great. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, just to confirm, so the meeting is 2 weeks from today?
Yes, I apologize if I misstated that. The meeting is November 15th. We meet on the third Monday. The Delta Industries application is being held in December. That's December.
We don't want to be there for that.
We'll have our next meeting on November 15th.
Okay.
Great. Close the hearing and see you on November 15th. Thanks to everyone for coming out. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate your board coming out.
Always nice to come out and just
A Norse elf?